A while back, I released the video Pierce the Heavens, a storyline that's not only a part of U.N.I.T.S, but is a precursor to Coral Knight's debut. Since then, I've been working my way back to the previous U.N.I.T.S storylines up until now finishing Kingdom in the Sky. That said, I feel like I should make a brief addendum to Pierce the Heavens to make it fit more well with U.N.I.T.S, which I can consider to be the black sheep of the family. And just to make it even more obvious, if you have not watched Pierce the Heavens, go watch it. It's honestly not that bad. One of the bigger questions I asked myself when thinking back on Pierce the Heavens was, out of all of the astral souls in the Warner alignment that would be a suitable inheritor of the Shining Ray Shard, why did Twilight pick Mileena? Why her? I had to come up with a reasoning that did tie into Kingdom in the Sky. Twilight had a shard sometime during 2014 and was holding onto it. She plans on giving it to a Warner alignment astral soul, but she didn't want to give it to a big name. So, she bid her time until she found a perfect candidate. And that came in the crossover event. Twilight was one of the 3 spectators of this crossover, and while she did see her partial creation fail, she was more interested in one of the bystanders. Carmilla had brought Mileena and Mai to London that night in hopes of finding a 4th member of their friend circle. Once getting Bayonetta, that's when Twilight set her sights to Mileena. After all, she was in the Warner alignment and was going through personal stuff at the time. But Twilight knew she couldn't go after her right away, with Mortal Kombat X being recently revealed, and Mileena already having a small army on her side, as well as Shinnok's amulet. So she had to wait until the story mode had been finished throughout the recent events. In the meantime, the Equestrians placed a small tracking device inside one of her sais while in Earthrealm, and monitored her movements throughout Outworld. Even after Mileena's death, Twilight still didn't want to take the initiative just yet, since she already knew about her close ties with Carmilla. In order for Twilight to make her move, Mileena needed to be at an absolute rock bottom without any of her friends being involved. And that's where the botched assassination attempt comes into play. This assassination attempt was used as a smokescreen as they retrieved the body in the dead of night. And as for how Lilith Mon knew that it was Twilight who took the body the next morning, using her digital monster brain and analytics, she analyzed the footprints left the previous night, and that brand was belonged to the Equestrians. But she didn't attack Equestria right away, even with this revelation at hand, for it would prove to the Equestrians that the world sucks. Speaking of the adorable cat boss, isn't it strange that during the assassination attempt, Lilith Mon just so happened to give Mileena the exact same wounds D'Vorah gave to her just a few weeks ago? Not only did she cut a hole in her stomach, but also lit her face on fire just to the point where her skull was exposed. Well, after some rethinking, I came up with this added detail. When Mileena returned to Carmilla's place after retreating to Earthrealm, it's revealed that Mileena was conscious seconds after her execution, meaning that she was aware that a multitude of bugs ate her face, innards, and torso. As such, when Carmilla sold her whereabouts to the Disney alignment, she relayed the information of what Mileena's corpse is supposed to look like, considering Raiden was going to pick up the body, and it would be weird seeing Mileena with her face being intact. Another detail to justify was that Katana and Jade's Holy Gene activated in 1995 following their deaths, and it just so happened that Mileena's also activated 20 years later. Considering that the activation rate for the Holy Gene is a 25% chance, and the fact that all 3 of the classic female ninjas of Mortal Kombat are still alive, excluding Scarlet because she was a rumor, isn't that too much of a coincidence? Well, since Mileena is a clone of Katana, it wouldn't be that far off to consider that her gene would activate as well. For this clarification, it is not only an addendum to Pierce the Heavens, but more of an addendum to what I said in my Mecha Geisha video. That being in regards to Gadomon's ultimate mega form. Well, as in, her most powerful mega form, because ultimate is the term of a Digimon level for both American and Japanese audiences. It's the second to last form in America, but it's the final form in Japan. Why am I telling you this? Anyway, I established that Gatomon created her Mastemon form in 2014 with help from her father/creator, Shinji. But that doesn't make any sense. Around this point in Shareverse, Shinji was in his quest to delete his creations, so why was he helping his own children to become more powerful? Well, it all comes down to the one thing that remains synonymous with life itself. In the early 2010s, Shinji was busy with the production of the Evangelion Rebuild movies, with 2012 seeing the release of the third film. However, Shinji's plans for the fourth and final film of the series meant that the production was going to have a bigger budget than all three films combined. And since he was aware that Bandai and Toei were running out of Digimon content, Shinji decided to open up his computers once more and began to create even more digital monsters. So he told the two companies that they could commission him to create new Digimon in order to promote new products and anime seasons, and this is how we get stuff like the app monsters. And for the X antibodies that were made in the mid-2000s, that was actually Karu's doing, resulting in the profit from the X Digimon lineup to fund the initial Rebuild movie. So when Gatomon heard her father was going back to making digital monsters, she saw this as an opportunity. While Ophanimon and Lilithmon were great megaforms, neither could represent the true power of her infused Digicrystal, leading to her creating a Mega that shows the best traits of her light and dark forms, that being Mastemon. However, Shinji promised her that the moment she would use this form in public, the two of them would have a fight to the death. A battle to decide if Shinji could defeat the final form of his 10-year misery, or if Gatomon can live the rest of her life without the fear of instant deletion. And when Mastemon first appeared in the end of Mecha Geisha, that's when the countdown began for these two to fight. But that discussion is not for here or now. Instead, it's just a reasoning for why Gatomon has a Mastemon form now. And one last addition I want to bring up is nothing too lore-shattering, but still a pretty good scene. When Mileena stormed in Main Street, USA in Orlando, she fought several members from both original and Neo Disney. While she didn't kill anyone, she did stumble across one of the workers that piqued her curiosity. As she was going for a killing blow, she stopped herself to see the petrified victim. Mileena saw in her eyes that she too had lost a sister and was trying to get through life even with that grief. And so, she let her go. So help me God that I just had to make a Frozen pun. Even though they weren't biological, Mileena did see Katana as her sister, and while she was alive, she was supposed to be exiled from the public after all, whilst her clone had to masquerade her appearance. So, yeah, Mileena was about to kill Anna, but stopped herself since they were both planning to get back at the people that killed their sisters. For Mileena, it was figurative, but for Anna, it was literal. After Pierce the Heavens, I kind of considered Coral Knights to be the rehabilitation center for not only Edward, but more so Mileena. While she was at her lowest point at life, it was resolved by having others come in and make her be around less toxic and deceptive people, making her feel at home in Earthrealm while joining the fight to battle the Revenants. And between them, the Coffee Crew, and her DLC quest in 2009 alongside Rex, Mileena had definitely changed a lot. And maybe that's the tragedy of Mileena, which is why so many people love her character, myself included. She wants to be treated fair just as everyone else, only to be used as a weapon of war for someone else, having a cutthroat relationship with her sister, and only seen as a tool by her parents and creators. Thankfully, when Liu Kang made his timeline, to give you a brief rundown, in Shareverse, he made a pocket dimension that served as his timeline that he watched over, but the real main timeline of Shareverse that houses Mortal Kombat both Midway and NetherRealm timelines is still intact. Anyway, when he created this timeline, he made sure that Mileena would have a far better life in Outworld, not only being biologically related to Katana and Sindel, but as the ruler of her very own kingdom. And maybe that's why he had her fight Dark Raiden, as a form of catharsis, since he always gave her so much trouble in Coral Knights. But that's the alternate timeline Mileena. As for me, I will always keep using the main timeline version of Mileena in future storylines, a born-again woman that indeed pierced the heavens. So those were all of the clarifications that I had for Pierce the Heavens. I thought that it would be necessary to do since I am working on the other units' storylines, and since I made Pierce the Heavens first, I thought it would be fitting to come back and get around to it. And yes, I know, when I said Mileena went after the kill people who were already dead, I threw Rei Horumaru in the mix alongside Ragyo and Nui, despite her not dying. It wasn't until after I finished recording that I noticed in the Kill epilogue exclusive on their DVD, Rei Homaru didn't die, and I was already deep into the post-production of the video to make any changes. So now I can confirm here that Mileena only sent Ragyo and Nui back to Hell despite the two already doing community services on Earth. Happy? But yeah, depending on my mood or questions regarding other storylines, I could make other addendum videos to previous storylines. But for now, I'm focusing on the endgame of units, which means there are 2 more storylines and a big finale. So subscribe to the channel and be on the lookout for that. Until then, I'm AJ, and I'll see you all in the next one.